Hi everyone, my name is Cherie. I've been creating content on TikTok for about 2 years now. Many times my followers have asked me to bring my short form TikTok content over to YouTube. This is me giving it a try. A lot of the things that I talk about are better suited for long form. So we can get into the nitty gritty, we can get into more details. The niche where I have expertise is in product management and tech. Second place is business school. Last year, I applied to Harvard and Stanford's business school program and got into both. I ended up choosing Stanford. I am starting school next week. The third place where I have expertise is in the tech venture capital world. If you want to learn more about me and my professional history, you can go to my LinkedIn. Worked there for 5 years, so big fan of the product. If you're applying to an MBA program, the number one thing that I regret doing was not giving myself enough time. I squeezed the entire process into about 4 or 5 months and I was pretty stressed out. Talked to a bunch of students who've put in 6 months to over a year in prepping, in writing, and submitting their application. But I felt definitely a lot of stress and I could have alleviated that stress had I planned better. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so I would highly suggest giving yourself more time rather than less to work on your application. Now, your application for your MBA will consist of a couple of things, at least one essay. There's definitely going to be other optional essays for some schools like Stanford. When I say optional, I mean they're not actually optional. You should definitely do them and see how many essays you need to write and then organize your time accordingly. The second big thing that you really need to prep for is getting recommendations from people who know you best in the professional world. I asked both my manager and also my VP at work to provide those recommendations, and you also have to give them ample time for them to write their recommendations. The worst thing is stressing out your recommenders when they're supposed to be saying nice things about you. The third thing you need is a resume in the style of an MBA resume. And this means basically two things. One is that the different sections will be organized differently for an MBA style resume. And if you Google it, you can see what it looks like as a template. The second really big difference for an MBA style resume is that you need to demonstrate the impact that you've made through quantitative and qualitative figures. What that means in English, it's not enough to tell people what the impact you had was in a project or on a team. You really have to share the quantified numbers, raised revenue by X%, brought in Y million dollars because of this project, etc. You should definitely be doing that in a regular resume, but I would say for an MBA resume specifically, the admissions committee is very drawn to those numbers. The fourth really big thing you need is a standardized test score. This is actually a pretty big topic and I won't go into it for this YouTube video. You definitely need to give yourself ample time to prep and take the test, especially if you want to take the test multiple times. The fifth thing for your applications is that you need to fill out a lot of personal information, and probably a lot of this information you haven't quite gathered in a very long time. Your yearly income, your undergraduate school and grades. There's just a lot of administrative and information gathering you have to do. That actually takes quite a bit of time. The more time you can give yourself without driving yourself crazy throughout this entire process, the better. Can you use the same essay for multiple schools? Yes and no. A raw copy and paste for the essays does not usually blow over well, and let me tell you why. These schools expect different things. If you just go on their website, compare it one page to another, yes, they're both top business school programs, but they're not identical to each other. They have their own culture, they have their own vibes. And so copying and pasting is not really going to work. And this is why you need ample time to prep for the different essays for each school. They can be a similar flavor because you're the same person applying to two different places, but you should definitely understand the nuances between the school. Let me give you an example. Just by looking at Harvard's website, you know that one of their main focuses is leadership. Their whole vibe is creating the future leaders of the world. It's in their entire motto. You kind of want to craft your essay for HBS to have more examples of leadership in the past and inspire the admissions committee of how you'll be a leader of the future. Now for GSB, yes, they're also looking for leaders, but the flavor is a little bit different. They're looking for people who will have a lasting impact around the world. And so they're very impact driven. Same, but different. And yes, there can be like parts of this essay that are in this essay, but I would not just raw copy and paste. That is not how you should approach these applications. And another reason why you should have ample time in this entire process is so you can do the research yourself. Compare every school that you apply to and figure out how you can best answer their essay question. While you're on the website, kind of combing through and doing your own investigation, start taking notes. I created like a Google Doc for each school where I can take notes on what their average standardized test score is, their acceptance rate, and also very important is the due date for each application. The MBA process happens in rounds. Round 1, round 2, and some schools even have a round 3 that you can apply to. I applied in round 2. Does it matter what round you apply to? Again, yes and no. The general tea is that people who apply in round 1 have an easier chance of getting in. I've heard that you have to be super exceptional to get in for round 3. If you have your stuff together to apply for round 1, I highly suggest applying during that time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe because I am just getting started here. I will be reading all the comments and would love to hear from you. Bye!